Halloween of 2020, the official Walten Files YouTube channel uploaded a video titled The Mysterious House. The video was an uncanon spin-off of the main analog horror series, The Walten Files, following the murder of two kids on Halloween night. While the video was meant as nothing more than a project to tide over fans of the main series until the release of the third episode, it exploded in popularity, with the short film currently sitting at over 3 million views. Along with its release, the video would introduce one of the most terrifying characters in analog horror history, the Pumpkin Rabbit.
And oh, when I find you, little bunnies, I will rip, and I will cut, and I will punish you. Mr. and Mrs. Waterman were very, very, very bad people.
Due to the popularity of the first video, the channel will release a sequel titled The Return of the Pumpkin Rabbit, picking up the story of the original video, and a VHS called The Tales of the Pumpkin Rabbit, adding bonus content like extra scenes and lore. And also plushes. But that's not important right now. In this video, I will be analyzing the Pumpkin Rabbit to explain his personality, his murders, his potential motivations, and his supernatural ability to return from the dead. The Pumpkin Rabbit, also known as Lorenzo Waterman, is a serial killer in the small town of Nash Lake. He lives atop Nash Lake Hill in the number 32 house. The earliest murder that we know of can be traced back to 1950 with the disappearance of Brittany Johnson on Halloween night. However, the Pumpkin Rabbit is not alone in his killings and is aided by his wife, Rachel Waterman, or the Witch Seek. The Pumpkin Rabbit seems to only kill on Halloween night, as all of his victims' missing dates seem to correspond with the exact same night. While it is not known specifically what the Pumpkin Rabbit does the rest of the year, he is most likely a pumpkin farmer, as we can see a large pumpkin farm in the back of his house. It can also be assumed that the Watermans were respected members of the Nash Lake community, as they are described as upstanding models in the Tales of the Pumpkin Rabbit VHS.
Rachel and Lorenzo Waterman operated in this hill many years ago. They were upstanding models of the community, or so we all thought.
However, after the murders of 1979, the town of Nash Lake would hunt down the Pumpkin Rabbit and his wife and proceed to burn them at the stake, officially ending any Waterman-related incidents until the year 1983, just 4 years later. Now, an important distinction to make about the murders of 1979 and 1983 is that in-universe, the murders of 1979 are treated as the Pumpkin Rabbit's last confirmed kills, while the murders of 1983 are treated more as a ghost story where kids went missing near the Waterman house. This is backed up by newspaper clippings seen in the museum that portray the murders of 1983 as more of fiction than fact, and the fact that the 1979 victims are labeled as the last Waterman victims. For the sake of this video, I will be counting the murders of 1983 as murders committed by the Pumpkin Rabbit, but I just thought that was an important distinction to make. The Pumpkin Rabbit initially comes off as a very soft-spoken individual and very eager, sometimes even interrupting others to force his own agenda.
I mean, yeah, but we still gotta go.
I have an idea. Why don't you two stay here for the night?
However, this initial personality is all guise, as the true malicious intentions come once the victims are trapped. The Pumpkin Rabbit doesn't kill his victims right away, but rather toys with them, enjoying their horror. He also seems to enjoy the chase, as not only does he laugh maniacally when pursuing his victims, but this fact is also explicitly stated in a cut version of the script for The Return of the Pumpkin Rabbit. The Pumpkin Rabbit also seems to have an obsession with masks, as he has a collection of them in his basement. Another detail about his mask is that the Pumpkin Rabbit seems to be disturbed when his true face is revealed, which is scarred and burned. Whether this injury was from a past accident or was self-inflicted has yet to be revealed officially. As stated before, the first known kill of the Pumpkin Rabbit was in 1950, but it is possible he could have started killing even earlier. The music that plays in the background of the video sounds like it could have been produced in the 1940s, but it's kind of hard to tell.
but a maiden sweet, and she never would do wrong. Everyone said she was pretty, she was not long in the city, all alone, oh what a pity, poor little maid.
An interesting detail about the pumpkin rabbit is that he actually has two outfits for killing his victims, one being his crafts outfit for luring victims into his house, and then a killing outfit which consists of an apron.
This was Lorenzo's waterman killing outfit. And this is his crafts outfit. He'd use this one to lure his victims over. However, this wouldn't last long.
This is likely so that the pumpkin rabbit can avoid getting blood on him once he kills his victims. The pumpkin rabbit has not been seen to use any weapons to kill his victims, only using his bare hands to claw his victims to death. He is also very skilled at masquerading as others, being able to replicate their voices.
Hey, it's me.
The pumpkin rabbit never discards of his victims' bodies, rather keeping them and hiding them in plain sight, such as how he repurposes Tammy's body as a scarecrow. He also rips the faces of his victims off in order to try to lure more kids in, or for a possible motivation I'll get to later. The pumpkin rabbit chooses to kill in a very systematic way, first by luring kids into his house with candy, then by taking a picture of them, and finally by toying with them until he eventually caused them to death. As for possible motivations for why the pumpkin rabbit kills his victims, the reasoning begins to get a little blurry. However, it is shown that the pumpkin rabbit is interested in masks and that he causes victims' faces off to wear it like a mask. He also only kills on Halloween, a holiday commonly associated with dressing up and wearing costumes. He also becomes disturbed when his true face is revealed, and wears a yellow mask to hide it. Finally, when chasing down his victims, the pumpkin rabbit also refers to the kids as naughty and deserving punishment.
What a naughty child, wandering around the house. I'll have to punish you for being such a misbehaved little bunny.
All this evidence suggests that the pumpkin rabbit could possibly be jealous of the young children and hates the way his true face looks, hiding it with masks. This might also relate to the pumpkin rabbit's backstory, as maybe in the past a kid messed up his original face on Halloween, causing him to have a vendetta against the kids of Nash Lake. Conversely, it is also possible that this is just the way the pumpkin rabbit is, and he kills people for the thrill of the chase. After all, the repeated line that the Watermans were very bad people implies that the Watermans were always bad, not that they turned bad over time. Whatever the reason for his killings, it was enough to motivate him to kill for at least 30 years. In 1979, the Watermans were discovered to be behind the disappearances of multiple children on Halloween night after Tammy's sister saw her go into the Waterman house and never return. As a result, both the pumpkin rabbit and the witch sheep were burned in the town, killing them. However, at the beginning of the return of the pumpkin rabbit, which takes place in 1983, we see both Watermans alive. So how is this possible? Well, it has to do with the mannequins in the photo book we see throughout the series. Starting off with the photo book, we can see that for each of the pumpkin rabbit's victims, a photo was taken of them and stored in a photo book. A photo of both Lorenzo and Rachel Waterman are also in the photo book. In both the remake of The Mysterious House and at the end of The Return of the Pumpkin Rabbit, we can see that the photo book is extremely important to the Watermans.
You could read me another book? Like this one.
No, not that one. That one is.
It's okay, darling. You see, little one, this book is very special to me and Chip. We don't know what we'd do if we ever lost it.
Finally, at the end of The Return of the Pumpkin Rabbit, the photo book is burned, and the spirits of the victims rise up and attack the pumpkin rabbit. This implies that the photo book acts as some sort of beacon that allows those who've had their picture taken to survive death and live eternally. Well, if that's true, why were the pumpkin rabbit and the wood sheep able to be revived and not the victims? Well, this leads into the next important piece of the puzzle, the mannequins. Throughout the multiple videos in the series, we can see mannequins in the background whenever the characters encounter either the wood sheep or the pumpkin rabbit. Also, in the ending of The Return of the Pumpkin Rabbit, each of the victims have their own assigned mannequins, which hold the pumpkin rabbit down when the victim's spirits are set free. This suggests that when a victim's soul is successfully trapped by the photo book, their soul is put into a mannequin by the pumpkin rabbit, sort of like William Afton from FNAF. This explains why the Watermans were able to revive themselves despite being in the photo book, because unlike the other victims, their souls were not trapped in a mannequin. However, when the Watermans die for a second time at the end of The Return of the Pumpkin Rabbit, the souls of the victims trap the Waterman souls in their own mannequins, which is reflected by the two mannequins that are holding the soul of each Waterman. But wait, don't the Watermans return in the Tales of the Pumpkin Rabbit? Well, this is true. At the end of the Tales of the Pumpkin Rabbit, we can see that both Watermen seemingly returned from the dead for a second time in order to kill the wolf. So what gives? How were the Watermans able to return again if the photo book was destroyed and their souls are now trapped? Well, while it's true the Watermans were revived in the 1991 incident, it's short-lived, as they are still trapped by the souls of their victims. This is supported by their pleas for freedom and how much it hurts by both the pumpkin rabbit and the wood sheep. We also get to see a scene of the souls torturing the pumpkin rabbit in an area that looks like hell. In the end, it seems that even if the Watermans are able to revive themselves, it won't last long as they are endlessly tortured by the spirits of their victims. This concludes my analysis of the character of the pumpkin rabbit and his murders throughout the spin-off series. There is a lot of miscellaneous art posted by the creators, but I recommend looking it up on your own time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe as it really helps me out and these videos take a long time. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next year.